two different things. In business, you have.
But you borrow wisdom from both.
But you know, in government, you rely on many people to agree with you.
To agree with you, definitely. That's what I'm saying. The agreement. You've just mentioned something again. Going back to my point, many people to agree, and that is the problem we're having. People, leadership, saying the same thing, not discordant tunes. We're talking of something that could be very, very efficient, but we're not deploying it.
But
and why?
You also raised issues. I mean, in terms of how there are fundamental issues in terms of data, in terms of our capacity. And if anybody should, amongst these people who need to agree, raises these issues, there will be valid points. I mean, real reasons to be skeptical as to how this process would work. I mean, even you remember the electoral, the registration process, and how in some areas it was difficult. Some said they could not see the thumbprint. Some said the batteries died. Some said, you know, there were all sorts of challenges. Still, INEC kept at it. So do you understand that the skepticism of those people is in order?
I wouldn't want to say it's in order in the sense that they are there and there ought to have been a plan. When you have putting up a plan on the paper, you also put timelines. This is 2014 and our democracy have run now for several years, over a decade. And we're going again now for the next poll. And are we going to wait until 2050 when even the current technology is out of place before we start doing something? I don't see a plan in place to have this done. Fine, we've mentioned our limitation because of capacity. Of course, we can develop capacity, and we're developing capacity, but capacity based on efficiency, not on profit. The capacity we currently have being developed is based on profit. In terms of even the use of the technologies, the high tariffs we have, the non-available, what's it called, means we have that we even pay for, the skeletal services we get. If we don't, as a people, come together to decide that for once we don't want to make profit out of everything, let's now start getting something efficient for our system, because we need to actually have a system in place that, you know, if you're going to come up with an electoral voting system, for example, you need to bring in experts. You're going to have summits, you're going to have meetings, you're going to come up with a white paper, you're going to come up with a plan, you're going to bring in experts to start trying out certain solutions that have been tried in places and all of that. And all of that will be based on timelines. My problem is that I can't sit here again in 2014 and be talking about something I spoke about 4 years ago, and nothing seems to have been done.
But I mean, there is a step, there is a movement. Here we were.
The movement is so slow,
it's
considering
slow,
the importance of what we're talking about.
But it's a movement nonetheless, so wouldn't you agree? It's better than nothing.
It's a movement, but I think when you expect a child of 4 years old to start going to the maybe the play group and is still trying to crawl in the house, there's a problem. We're not even crawling. We're not moving. And the technology we're talking of is moving so fast that whatever we're going to even spend our money on right now, if we are not careful, we don't work with that timeline, we'll be obsolete by the time we want to deploy.
You know, talking about money, I remember then we needed it so badly as a country. Not even one protest against the huge amount that was actually given to INEC for that election. If you were to advise or to look at some of these issues, technologically speaking now, what would you love to see us put in place to do this?
Number one is when you're acquiring gadgets to be used for a particular solution, you need to look at, one, your total goal, what you want to achieve. Then you also look at your budget, and then the gadget you're going to acquire, you are not going to be looking at them like the cars or other utilities that depreciate over a certain period. You look at the compatibility of that gadget vis-a-vis emerging technology, and then the how will I call it now, the upgradableness of such equipment. I was alarmed and shocked when I heard that virtually all of the laptops, the fingerprints, DDC machine, where are they now? We were here to shout about the mobile drives that were already in places on sale. And of course, the House of Assembly will come up again. They're going to vote billions of naira again, and we'll go back again because people are profiting. It's like a business. We're not looking at forming a solution. ICT is about solution provision. You want to provide a solution to a certain problem. But in providing that solution, we also look at cost. Now, to answer your question rightly, I also need to look at what do you have on the table. If I'm going to vote XYZ amount of money, I want to see what I'm going to achieve at the end of the day with that cost. Because if you don't work within the limit of your budget, and then looking at the total output, because the problem we have currently is that somebody will just go, is from a particular side of the country, and is a favorite of a particular sect in the house. They just pass the bill, and you get the money voted, and they will come in. Will come in again 4 years' time. You get the same thing again. But have you gotten the solution to the problem?
Can we do collaboration with NIMSI, the Identification
There's
Management
nothing that
Commission?
INEC is going to do without NIPSI, because at the end of the day, by the time NIPSI is able to gather all of this
data, yes.
here, they will still need to fall back to them, because definitely all of these data, from what I heard NIPSI is doing currently, they have to be linked up together, even with the banks. You're going to have everything linked up. There's going to be verification of all these data from all of the agencies and even private organizations that will need such information, because it should be, we'll be clamoring this thing. It should be centralized.
Okay, I think I see some information here about INEC, although maybe we'll get to them subsequently to see if they can authenticate or update this information.
All right.
And that has to do with the fact that, of course, we do know that the last time out, they were supposed to have this automated finger identification system. Which is AFIS, which you talked about authenticating your... I think that should happen. Now they say that they've cleaned out the National Register of Voters ahead of the 2015 election, so that they can run this AFIS and verify those who really are registered to vote. That's on the one hand. Then there's also this part where they say they're trying to introduce smart card technology to improve the accreditation of voters through rigorous voter identification and authentication process on election day. Is this a movement for you?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. Do you have a permanent voters registered card?
Which they're also rolling out this year. I mean, we're saying
this
that
after many
we
years,
should get
please.
it.
After many years, please.
The last time
You
was
see,
temporary, but now
It doesn't
we're
really
moving
matter
to
how
the
many
permanent.
years. I mean, if you get it, if we're able to get it, because I mean, it's still in the pipeline, it's not out yet. But if we're able to get it, would that be a major leap?
If it's something peculiar to, new to Nigeria, or new to my field, I would like, okay, let's, something, it's so amazing. You go for international conference and you need to get some of these cards, to get access into such conferences. It doesn't take time. It's only in Nigeria we have temporary cards for everything. It's only happening here. Temporary cards for your vehicle, what's it called, driver's license. Temporary cards for the INEC. Temporary cards for virtually everything. Why temporary? If it's going to be temporary, then the solution is not absolute, it's not correct. Because I'm looking at a system where, fine, we'll keep talking about this. And I'm always very particular about time, because ICT is more about precision and timing. Once you miss out the timing, your entire solution becomes obsolete overnight. I don't know if I'm saying something correctly here, because it's beyond just us sitting in a place thinking this is what we want. We also have to look at what is actually happening in that world, in that space called ICT. I see so many things coming up here. They're like technologies of 10, 15 years we are still talking about in 2014. And we're going to now spend money that is meant for technology of 10, 15 years to come.
So, in other words, we're always
we
slow.
spend so much to get so little, virtually nothing.
Because I think you've raised so many, points here. First, why this long till this moment people still carry temporary voter cards? Why is it that we're so slow? And again, a question about those the whereabouts of those some of these equipment we bought with taxpayers' monies for INEC to prosecute that 2011 election. For now, this is 2014, and we have just 3 elections in the year before the big one, which is close. So in other words, we have elections less than a year from now, because it's February.
Yeah.
So what would you love to see from INEC?
I'll go back to where I started from. I want to verify my data this time around using my fingerprint. That will give me so many clues into what is happening in INEC office with the experts. I want to see that I get in there and I just swipe and I'm able to see my name, see all of the data I provided. With that, I will have confidence in the system.
That